let's talk about building out a complete ultralight cook kit that isn't going to break the bank. When you're looking for a man-portable system in hiking and backpacking, there are three things you're always trying to accomplish. Obviously, save money, cut weight, but still give you performance. And you're trying to balance all three of those things. Well, I believe that this 7-piece kit that I've constructed walks that tightrope perfectly because it weighs less than 440 grams or just under a pound, and it cost me just under $70 to build out this entire 7-piece system. And I've been using this layout for a few years now on day hikes like I'm on today, but also many multi-day backpacking trips into the high country. So I'm looking forward to unpacking with you what these pieces of gear are, how they have made sense for me, and hopefully will help you better determine if this is the right balance of value, weight, and performance. So I invite you guys to come on down the mountain with me as we explore this cook kit. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in and have some fun. Okay, well, we made it back. I've yet to clean it, but that means that it's perfect to be able to unpack with you guys here. And we'll see how this goes. Let me mount this little bad mamba jamba up. Since I got the DJI Osmo 3, has really revolutionized the way I'm able to share videos with you guys. Okay, so we're going to start with the core of the kit, which is the Toaks titanium 750 milliliter pot. Now, I was looking through my Amazon purchases and I actually found that I had purchased this all the way back in 2019. So this is a 7-year-old pot and still going strong. And there are plenty of great pots out there. This particular size, shape, and design is the one that I keep coming back to. One is because it has a lid. Some pots don't have lids. You can remove that and it'll cut about a half an ounce off of the entire weight of the kit, but it has this little catch tab right there. It has a strainer and steam valve. It has lots of different things that you can do with that. So I like that it has a lid, boils the water faster. That's always a positive and keeps junk from getting in there. And then the other aspect is the handles. Now it's gonna have those two grab handles, which make it way easier to get it on and off, you know, of your element, or if you were boiling it in a fire. And then you can also then use that to drink out of, do whatever you need to. I just way prefer having something with handles. Adds a little bit of weight, but it's worth the trade-off. Now, this has milliliter and ounce graduations up to 500 milliliters or 16 ounces, but obviously you can go way higher. And the reason I like the 750 milliliter version versus the smaller version that does exist, which again would cut down size and footprint, is because 750 milliliters for us that use the ounces, you know, measurement, that is about 25 ounces. So to do easy math, that's like 3 cups. And what you will usually find is that most dehydrated meals require 2 cups of water or less if you're boiling them, and then, you know, you're making your dehydrated meal when you're backpacking, hunting, camping, whatever you're doing. And so that allows me with 1 pot and 1 scoop or 1 fill to be able to boil water for 1 cup of coffee and 1 dehydrated meal, which means that's just a more streamlined process. And I also like this size because it's able to store all the other components to the system, and also gives me more versatility. If I don't want to build out an entire kit, I can slide it right over most Nalgene's and other large water bottles. Now, the final reason I like the Toaks setup is this mesh carrying sock. Now, you may think it's just kind of wasted space and extra weight, but actually it does 2 things for me. One, it is able to carry 2 extra items in the same area, and it's all just compact together, so it acts as kind of a carrying case for a couple pieces of the kit, but it also acts as an oven mitt, because even with those extended handles, when you pull that water off and it's boiling, those handles are very hot. So unless you have gloves or a bandana, you're gonna probably burn your hand. This is a secondary way to just grab the the handles and remove it off of the element. Now, as I stated a little earlier, I picked this up on Amazon 7 years ago, and I paid about 25 or 26 bucks for it. It's still going for that when I just checked. So the value has stayed there for this little pot system. And this entire kit that we're talking about today, you can build through Amazon. So I will have a link to my Gideonstactical Amazon store. It's in the description box below as well. And I'll have links to a few other retailers as well that you guys can kind of check out and explore for yourself. And many of these items, you could just go to a brick and mortar store as well and find many of these pieces of gear. But if it makes more sense to order online, really appreciate it when you order through those affiliate links. Okay, so once we have cooked our meal, we got to get it into our face hole. And how do we do that? Well, I have struggled to come up with a solution that beats out what I'm about to show you, because I like having something that is compact, that doesn't go above the top of that pot. It fits perfectly on the exterior of the storage bag, and it's like a $5 MSR folding spork. And there are longer options. There are titanium or aluminum options. You know, there's all sorts of different variations out there, and I've probably tried a dozen. It does have a few crevices, but I can easily pinch, close. I've never broke one, and it now allows me to just run that right on the side of the pot, and it weighs next to nothing and costs next to nothing. You can get away and cut some serious ounces if you want to do everything in that titanium pot. I don't like doing that for two reasons. Sometimes I am boiling water in it when I want to enjoy, you know, if I'm helping other people, if my kids are with me, you know, whatever. I'm doing a couple rounds potentially, and I want to enjoy my coffee. So I bring with me, and have for years now, a Sea to Summit collapsible cup. This little guy right here. Again, all this stuff needs to be put in the dishwasher. It's made out of silicone, nylon, and glass composite. It can handle up to 100 degrees Celsius. It's dishwasher safe, so I like all that stuff. BPA free, all those good things. 400 milliliters or 13 and a half ounces. And so it pops open just like you see there and then collapse down. I just put that at the bottom of the bag, and then I put the titanium pot on top of that. And it has really worked well for me, not only because it has graduations on the inside, so I actually use it a lot as a measuring cup. So I know, like, oh, it's a cup and a half. I can just pour that right in there, boom, boom, and then put it into my backpacker meal. But also, again, I could put oatmeal in here, I could put my coffee in here, and I can be drinking it and either letting my mug cool down, or someone else can be using my mug to boil their water, you know, on their stove or on my stove, you know, whatever it is. To me, it's a sacrifice at about 15 bucks to have it for the extra couple ounces. It doesn't take up any extra space in the kit, and gives me a lot more versatility, and I can sit there and just enjoy sipping on, you know, my my beverage and enjoying the outdoors. Now, one of the key things with this system is the ability to boil water, to purify it if necessary for drinking and for cooking. But that is not always a very streamlined, conducive way, especially when you're on trail and you want to bag miles and miles. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes into play, which is Hardside Hydration. This is an American-based company that I've been using now for years in their hydration systems, which is a hose like on a water bladder, but it attaches to a rigid water bottle on the exterior of your pack, or interior if you want to, but it just makes it way more streamlined, easier to clean. I love it. Well, this past year, they have released an inline Nano filter. So now all you have to do is scoop up from any water source and then drop the filter in, screw it down, and then you have fresh filtered water to be able to drink when you're on trail. It is the most streamlined way that I have yet to find to give myself consistent filtered water when I am on trail. So I invite you guys to check out their link. I have it popping up here. It'll be in the description box below as well, along with my 10% off promo code. You can use that site-wide and explore all the different options. It's a really good streamlined way to keep yourself hydrated when you're on trail. Okay, so if the pot is the foundation for this system, well, then the stove would be the hearth of our home, this little house that we're building of cook kit excellence. And the option for this type of system that I gravitate to is the BRS 3000T. I believe it's BRS. I always like BSR. I don't know. BRS 3000T, titanium. This little guy right here is pretty wild. Now, I have had many different compact stoves for backpacking over the years. Now, the reason that I would say for this, like, to hit all the things, price, weight, and size, this one makes the most sense. There are more efficient models like the MSR Pocket Rocket 2.0. That one will use slightly less fuel, I have found, and it has a better simmer feature. So if you actually like cooking in the backwoods, I'm looking at this as like, we just want to boil water. That's what this is for. 9 out of 10 times you just want to boil some water. You could possibly try and get it low and, you know, simmer like a fish that you caught on a pan that you brought. It would work, but better, broader, bigger stoves are going to be the better solution for that type of cooking. This is going to be extremely inexpensive. I paid like 16, 17 bucks. It still goes for that. It's titanium. It weighs 25 or 26 grams. So it is extremely lightweight and extremely compact. So it's going to hit a great price point, has a good amount of power. Again, more expensive ones, if you want to look at, I would suggest the Pocket Rocket 2.0. You're going to get a little bit better efficiency. You're going to get better wind protection. So if you're going on very high peaks where it's really windy, or you're out in the desert and there's wind a lot of the time, these fins will do an okay job of protecting the flame and keeping it from going out. But I have found times where I'm kind of having to like prop it next to a rock and kind of use it as a windbreak and things like that. And it takes a little bit longer if it's windier to boil water than when conditions are prime. So of the stoves though, these things are really a huge value and a very good setup because of what they bring to the table with their value and how compact and lightweight they are. Now, some large premium stoves may have a little igniter switch. I've had one. It went out on me on a backpacking trip. Don't trust those things. Now, thankfully, I always have more than one way to ignite a stove like this. And so 1 is none, 2 is 1 is kind of my philosophy, especially if you're out, you know, miles and miles from civilization, backpacking, camping, hunting, whatever. So what I like to do is take a little spark wheel. These things are really light and inexpensive. And this is a great way that just throws a little spark, and usually you can get your fire going, or excuse me, your stove lit without any issue. Doesn't use any fuel. And I've had this one for years, and this is the one I usually will start with. If it's really windy or just something's kind of off, then I will use a mini Bic lighter. I don't take the full size, it's just extra weight, space. Then we gotta have fuel, right? So a standard fuel pod will absolutely fit inside the titanium mug. And what I have found personally is making, if you will, that meal, right? Boiling at altitude, which is where I usually hike and where you see most of the footage is between 8,000 and 10,000 feet is usually where I am doing that, which you're supposed to let the water boil longer at those temperatures. So boiling about 24 ounces or 3 cups of water, I can go about 3 days doing about 2 meals a day with one of these pods. 4 days is really starting to kind of push it. That's me. You should definitely, if you're planning out like a backpacking trip or something, you know, or hunting trip, definitely do some testing. Try and do it at altitude to make sure you're bringing the right amount of fuel. The worst case scenario is, you know, you run out of fuel. This is really kind of like the system and the process that has worked for me, regardless if I'm doing day hikes or multi-day backpacking trips. And I just want that like one and done system. And it would be something I would have recommended to my friends, my family, people who I take for the very first time on multi-day trips. I'm like, dude, for like around 70 bucks, you can completely build out this kit, and arguably you really never need to upgrade ever again. And the life expectancy, especially of that 7-year, you know, with that mug, and I've had that BSR or BRS, whatever, stove for several years. And I have my MSR Pocket Rocket. I've had that forever. So these components will last a very long time. So this has been my kind of setup. I hope it's been fun and entertaining, but definitely giving you guys some things to think about. If you have questions, leave comments. I'll do my very best to answer them in the comment section below. Really appreciate you guys hanging with me. I put up videos every single week if you're new here. So I do invite you to subscribe, to check out the other video wherever it's popping up. And till next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.